Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting installment of TED Excellence, the show in which we go deep down into the center of the known universe and then deeper. So deep. So deep. And I come to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Thanksgiving Thursday. Oh, Thanksgiving Thursday. I hope you all have had a good Thanksgiving so far. If you're a Thanksgiving orphan, as in you did not have a family event to gather to tonight or today, or if you're just getting back from one, or you're still at one and for some reason are paying attention to me, I hope you're all doing well. I hope your bellies are full. You've got tryptophan in your veins and you're all just about to fall asleep. But don't fall asleep yet. We have a show to do. A very exciting show. Oh boy, this is going to be something. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. But it is a matter of probability. I'll get to that in a moment. Who's joining me this evening for the special Thanksgiving edition of TED Excellence? Noah Asensio, hello. Jaeger Pony, hello. Keeverdam, hello. Advocatus Diaboli, hello. Tyrannus Alexandrius Tremirlich, hello. Zeke Weiss, hello. Beachy Gogito, hello. Who else is here? Mike R, hello. And then chat's going to jump on me, isn't it? Of course it did. Chat always jumps on me. Not in a nice way either. Jonathan Peterson, hello. Bridget, hello. Roger Reynolds, hello. Keldrig, hello. Shell D, hello. Megan Ring, hello. Corey Suzuki, hello. And Ken Elliott, hello. Simon Willikins, hello. And is that everybody that I see? Oh, Elmentity. Hello. Elmentity? Elmentity. Elm Street, I don't know. Hello. And Preemptive Heat. Hello. Preemptive Heat. Bishop, hello. I think that's everybody. If I missed you, if you're lurking, or if you're in the future, hello. Yeah, so what do we have on deck for tonight? Well, I'll tell you what, just like with so many other things, it was the title alone that made me go, huh? The Queer Universe, a Quantum Explanation. Now, there's a couple of ways to look at this. All depends on your definition of words, which is very important. So I'm going to go over very briefly my sort of mental baseline or contingencies for what this title might mean, and we'll see how it plays out. So first and foremost, the word queer. All right, so when I was growing up, it had two distinct meanings depending on context. In one sense, it's something odd, something is off, something isn't quite right in the world, in your environment, etc. That's all that is. On the other hand, depending on how it was used, it basically meant not straight, gay or lesbian. That was it. And that was all there really was back when I was a kid, right? It was just, you weren't straight. That was it. Now, queer, depending on the context, has gone off to mean a whole slew of different things. And we've gone over that several times in the past on different streams with, people trying to queering your therapy practice in mental health or how to queer this or something. And when you listen to people try to explain this, it makes very little sense. I don't doubt that'll be the same here, but that's the first part. So the queer universe. Are we talking about the actual universe and its odd nature when you start examining all the different mechanics of it? Or are we talking about sexuality? I have a feeling it's the latter. Okay, a quantum explanation. Okay, well, that could be the size of the explanation. It could be a very small explanation, but then this TEDx talk runs 15 minutes. So unless she's going to elaborate grandly on a very small explanation, I don't think that's it. But my other thought is, are we talking quantum like new age thinking, trying to explain everything down to a science in sort of a quasi-spiritual way, sort of Deepak Chopra kind of quantum mechanics and things? I don't know. I have no idea. We're about to find out together because our speaker is a doctor. That's all I know about our speaker. A doctor of what? That's the major question. Maybe she'll tell us. I guess we'll find out. Thank you, Keeverdam. GoFundMes are in chat. Did I miss them? I did miss them. Thank you, Keeverdam. So if you guys will direct your attention to the top of the chat box in just a second there you go. We have some GoFundMes there for our friends Angry Illinoisian and his kitten. If you happen to have a couple of bucks to spare, they, their friends, and loved ones could certainly friends, family, and loved ones, don't forget family, could certainly use your help if you have it. So, Ebony Williams, hello. Who else is here? Anybody I missed? Jaeger Pony, if I didn't already say hello, hello. All right, guys. So, are you prepared to go into the quantum realm of the queer universe? I don't know. All right, our bingo card tonight is bingo card B. B as in boson, which was our selection from the poll on Twitter. If you'd like to take part in the poll that selects the bingo card, or just follow along as I go through my day tweeting nonsense to people and things about things and stuff, you can follow me on Twitter at @scribe_light. It's there on the screen, and I think it's also in the description. So, with all of that as preamble, let us find out about the queer universe with a quantum explanation. I'll start off with a few seconds for a sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it, and then we will proceed.
Queer.
Yes, that is the word of the day. You guys hear that all right? Let me know in the El Chato. And also, thank you, Officer Buck. It is a hey you cool pair. Well, hey you, Officer Buck. And happy Turkey Day to you. Decode, hello. So thank you again, Officer Buck. Sounds good, says Kiever Dam. Unfortunately, I can hear it, says Advocatus Diaboli. You know, why you gotta be such a sourpuss? Okay, queer.
Differing in some way from what is usual or normal. As a society, we tend to think in absolutes.
Do we?
Black or white, gay or straight, male or female.
Well, that's because sometimes there are absolutes. It all depends on what we're talking about, doesn't it?
But what if I were to tell you that the universe is non-binary?
I would say that depending on what you are referring to, you're wrong.
That from cosmological scales to subatomic scales, that the universe is actually super queer.
So you're going to start mixing definitions, are you? Okay. Well, okay, as preamble, I am not a physicist. I don't know if our speaker is a physicist or not. Yes, the lower you go down into the subatomic realm, the stranger and less predictable the laws of physics become. That is as much as I can sort of off the cuff say with any tiny amount of certainty about what it comes down to in the rules of the universe. Outside of that, up is still up, down is still down. Oh, but what if the exit is down? Says Ender's Game. Oh, I don't know. Okay, well, let's find out what our blue-haired professor has to say.
So it isn't such a crazy leap to assume that everything inside our universe is also queer.
No. Let's not make assumptions. Let's look at individual cases on individual basis and assess them individually. Huh?
Does that make you uncomfortable?
Making assumptions about the universe without proof? Yes.
Or are you cautiously optimistic that the universe may offer some comfort?
The universe is a cold, dark place that is slowly encroaching away from itself into nothingness. And we're all along for the ride, whether we want to be or not. Cold comfort at best.
My name is Dr. Jessica Esquivel. I'm a Black, Mexican, queer, neurodivergent woman.
Are you? Are you really? Okay, well, let's go to the bingo card real quick and remind ourselves what we're keeping our ears open for. Remember, that's bingo card B. B is in boson. Links are in the description. Okay, first off, anecdote that probably never happened. We'll wait on that one. Self-vilification or wretchedness. I'd be surprised. Systemic institutional. Weightless example. Word salad. I got a feeling that's going to come quicker than nothing else. Leaves out vital context. Similarly. Collectivizes own demographic. I think we've already hit that. I think we have, but I'm going to wait. She just listed off some some adjectives, I should say. So we need to get some more. She needs to start generalizing. White supremacy. Not yet, but I would be surprised. A list. I'm going to take that first statement as a list. She listed off her specifics, which say nothing about who she is, just effectively what she is, I suppose. Privilege. Sales pitch for product or service. Plays victim. I have a feeling. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. Okay, remember, it's new buzzword or buzz phrase. Wage gap. Not yet. Patriarchy, no. Feminism, not yet. Mind reading or assumes motives, possibly. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, neurodiverse, I'll take that just because I'm feeling generous on a Thanksgiving. Marginalized, marginalization, not yet. Argumentative, non sequitur. Childhood or family anecdote. Contradicts own point or argument. We'll see. Benevolent condescension. Does that make you feel a little uncomfortable? With a big smile on her face. Yeah, I'm already going to circle that one. If not for that one statement, I have a feeling. And lastly, microaggressions or unconscious bias. And likewise, I'll also circle free space because it's free. So far I have a list: free space, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and benevolent condescension. That's where we're at. Thank you, Corey Suzuki. I thought only Sith deal in absolutes. That's right. Only Sith deal in absolutes, Anakin. Only Sith, me speaking as the Jedi. Can you tell that George Lucas wrote that? Thank you, Corey. All right. So yes, you're a list of adjectives. And then?
I'm also a particle physicist.
Oh, you're a particle physicist. Okay. So you make assumptions about the universe and then go looking for the proof, do you? All right.
And today, leveraging my expertise on the intricacies of the quantum realm, we are going to create a reimagining of our universe.
Ooh.
We're going to describe the laws of physics at the smallest scales, where space and time become meaningless and is filled with a roiling, bubbling foam of chaotic quantum fluctuations that put into question the very fabric of human reality.
Except for the reality that we can observe and can witness and test on this level of existence. You know, those laws of physics still apply because we don't live in the quantum realm, or at least we don't. I don't know what planet you're from.
Physicists have been trying to explain the world around them since the dawn of time.
There were no physicists at the dawn of time. There was no understanding of physics at the dawn of time.
From mathematical calculations that explain how a ball drops, to theoretical simulations to describe space-time curvature.
Yes.
To the most well-known categorization of the elements, the periodic table.
And so is gold both gold and lead at the same time? I mean, we're not talking in absolutes, right?
We yearn for structure, for rigidity, and for absolutes.
Yes, and there are some observable absolutes. There are. Or at least they're based on very well-tested theories. Let's put it that way. Because you're a particle physicist, right? You understand that a theory isn't necessarily a truth, but it is just something that's observed over and over and over again and can be tested, right? Like the theory of gravity, it's just a theory. Well, I mean, that's not the same definition of theory, but okay.
But with new physics discoveries comes a shedding of what we deem to be law.
Okay, what's the speed of light? And how are you going to change that with particle physics? I mean, the speed of light is obviously not constant, right? There's no measurable speed of light because there are no absolutes, right? So the speed of light doesn't actually, there is no speed of light. Light doesn't have a defined speed, right?
Our rigid boxes must be open for new innovative thinking.
Okay.
Case in point.
Okay.
The ancient Greeks looked up at the stars and developed new math to describe what they were seeing, trigonometry.
Yes.
Newton's musings over orbiting celestial bodies, looking up at those same stars, birthed calculus.
Yes.
And even now, we're in the midst of developing quantum field theory, which describes the complexity of quantum mechanics and the fundamental interactions that could possibly be the reason that we've birthed the cosmos.
We didn't birth the cosmos. Not unless you believe in some kind of like observable manifestation or something. Also, something I have heard many, many times from many, many different sources is anyone who claims to know how quantum mechanics works doesn't know how quantum mechanics works. But, okay, yes, people in the past tried to understand the movements of the stars and how things worked in the world through mathematics. Mathematics which have been applied and tested and refined over and over and over again. Are you going to tell me that 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4? Are you going to tell me that 2 + 2 = 5? Because there's definitely a source for that kind of thinking.
Everything around us.
Yes.
Everything from the galaxies filled with stars to the extraordinary depths of our oceans filled with creatures beyond our wildest dreams are made up of a fundamental set of particles.
Yes.
These teensy tiny particles live and interact in a world unlike our own.
Yeah.
In our macro world.
Okay. A world unlike our own. Let's remember that. It is a world unlike our own. But we don't live with absolutes, right?
We tend to think binary categorizations and absolutes are the norm.
Do you use math in any of your work? Is math just a matter of opinion until you get down to the quantum realm? Because if it isn't until it is, are there rules or aren't there?
But if we tunnel down into the smallest spaces of our universe, we enter a world where queerness and chaos reigns supreme.
Okay, so just so I understand, you mean queer under the definition of not the norm, right? You're not going to try to conjoin the meanings of not the norm with sexuality, are you? It sounds like you're trying to justify something. Sounds like you're trying to make people think something that is not inherently true. Sounds like a very, very complex attempt at gaslighting. I could be mistaken, but let's see where we go. And have we hit anything else on the bingo card yet? I mean, there's an argument for word salad, but I'm going to wait. I'm sure we'll get there more starkly. Contradicts own pointer argument. Kind of already has. I'm going to give it a little longer. She's only got 12 more minutes.
In our macro world, the physics that we're used to disintegrates. And what we're left with is this counterintuitive, topsy-turvy, through the looking glass world.
Yes, okay, you've described this several times now. You do not live in that world. None of us live in that world. We cannot enter that world unless you're Ant-Man and have some science fiction stuff going on. So what does any of that have to do with our world? What are you trying to justify to yourself or to convince others of here?
Where nothing quite fits your expectations. Richard Feynman, who's a well-known physicist, he said, I can safely say that no one understands quantum mechanics.
And here you are trying to tell us how quantum mechanics works. How are you going to follow up that one? Have you learned something beyond the mind of Richard Feynman at this point?
And as a particle physicist myself, I 100% agree with that statement.
Okay, contradicts own point or argument. She has no idea what she's talking about. Everything she's about to give us and has been giving us to this point in regards to the quantum realm has been opinion, if you can believe it.
But I'm going to let you know what we know so far. I've been sifting through the quantum realm for about a decade now.
No, you haven't.
And what I've learned is in the quantum space, in the quantum world.
What did Richard Feynman say again? You want to go back and repeat his comment and your response and relate it to what you're about to tell us? Okay.
There is no space, no time, no linearity, no orientation, no up, down, left, right.
No orientation. Interesting word choice.
Past or present.
There isn't?
In the quantum realm, there's also no empty space.
There's no empty space in the quantum realm. There's no empty space in the quantum realm. Again, I am not a physicist. I'm certainly not a particle physicist, but I don't know. I've watched more than a few documentaries in the past on science and particle physics and things like that, even though that's all very high-level stuff for, layman consumption, as it were. I hear a lot about how there's quite a lot of empty space in between particles and their subparticles and so on. This is the remarkable thing, that most of what we see and feel and hear in this universe is made up of predominantly empty space. But okay, there's no empty space in the quantum realm. Is that true? I don't know. Sounds off to me, but whatever.
Space at those scales is filled and brimming with these quantum fluctuations.
Quantum fluctuations. What did Richard Feynman say again? So you know how the quantum realm works? Okay.
The experiment that I work on today, the muon G-2 experiment, we dive head first into this vat of a gurgling enigma in search for that new physics.
So you don't have that new physics. Okay.
We use machines with unheard of precision.
Well, precision? What do you mean precision? There's no absolutes.
To watch a particle called muons circle around a 50-foot diameter magnet. And we wait for the pandemonium of quantum to rear its head. What we see are virtual particles, hints of the real thing that pop in and out of existence and dislodge that muon off of its path. And what we hope to see is a virtual particle that we've never seen before. And we're pretty close.
Pretty close to what? Okay, you know what? I will assent. Okay, I will stipulate. When you get down to the quantum realm, the rules as we know it break down. Things do not operate the way we would expect. Things are all over the place. It's things that we still have not fully understood. You don't need to sell me on that. I'll just say it now. Okay? Now, do I believe that you understand how it works? No, because you're still trying to figure out how it works. What does this have to do with proverbial price of tea in China?
I see a lot of comparisons between my ADHD symptoms and quantum mechanics.
What? What is that? What the fuck is that?
Okay, well, yeah, that was a thing that was just said. That was a thing that was just said. By the way, everybody, the way that my mind works is just like this amazing thing that I'm talking about. I don't understand how the quantum realm works, and I really don't understand how my mind works.
Depending on what I'm doing, an hour can feel like 10 minutes.
Feel like?
Or 10 hours.
I'm so special.
I could be, working on debugging code, and all of a sudden I'm pulling out my treehouse drawings because I just know that a 4x6 tri-beam on that middle tree is just what I need, and it would be cheaper too, especially with lumber these days.
Okay. Your short attention span does not make you special. I hate to tell you this. I know you're trying really hard here.
But other times, those wisps of thoughts pop in and out of my head, like those virtual particles that pop in and out of existence, and they are exactly what I need to solve the difficult problems that I'm working on.
And what about the other 85% of the time, where you're trying to debug code and suddenly you think about a treehouse? I mean, some things are more useful than others.
I cannot tell you how many times I would be sitting in traffic, usually on the way to Fermilab, and a phrase or a word or even something on the radio just jolts my brain back to that machine learning algorithm that I'm working on and almost shows me that this parameter right here needs to be changed so that everything can work better.
You are not that special in that functionality. I hate to tell you this. People make connections between things and unrelated bits of information all the time. So what?
And I'm not the only one.
You're right. You're not. We all do it. Most conscious individuals make these connections, not necessarily about the things that you're interested in, but in things that they're interested in or are relevant to them. It happens all the time. It's called thinking. It's called having an idea. It's called imagination. Most human beings possess these abilities. You're right. Okay. What does that have to do with anything?
That sees similarities between being neurodivergent and quantum mechanics.
So, after a fashion, unlike anybody else who does not share your same thought patterns, you perpetually exist in a quantum realm. Is that it? You're special.
There's actually a quantum physicist named Michael Fisher who's on an interdisciplinary journey to prove that all of our brains are quantum brains.
Best of luck to him on that.
And this journey came to be because of his struggle with mental health and debilitating depression and his love of scientific inquiry.
Right. Okay. Well, here's my question, I guess. Let's say he's right. So what? And there is a tone of sarcasm in there. I won't deny it. But all the same, on a pragmatic level, let's say he comes to understand. Let's say he comes to prove that we all have quantum brains. And given the fact that everything can be reduced down to something on the quantum level, yes, all of our brains are quantum brains, just like all of our pincushions are quantum pincushions, just like my cell phone is a quantum cell phone. So what? What are we getting at here?
It's going to be interesting to see where this path leads, but I know that my ADHD symptoms look and feel like quantum mechanics, and that further ties us.
You don't know that. You don't know that because you don't see quantum mechanics and you don't feel quantum mechanics. You are making this up, strangely enough, in your own head to try to... here's the thing. This TEDx talk might as well have been called, and there are several that are called, ADHD is my superpower. I have actually skipped over those oftentimes because they just sound boring or they sound self-serving. But I guess I was just tricked into this one.
Closer to the queerness of our universe.
Uh-huh.
Digging deeper, let's talk about quantum superposition.
Okay.
So, all particles travel and move as a wave.
Okay.
Let's visualize that. If we imagine shooting paintballs at a wall with two slits in it and a screen on the other side, what you're going to get on that screen is a pattern where the paint splatter accumulates where those slits are, right?
Or wait, are the balls going through the slits? Because otherwise they're going to splatter against the screen. Or are the slits only large enough to allow the paint through but not the ball? Or I'm trying to visualize this.
If you have particles that are acting like a point, you get that same pattern on the screen.
Right.
However, when particles act as a wave, you get a completely different pattern on that screen. We call that pattern the interference pattern. And it is a collection of bright and dark spots. And those bright and dark spots correlate with the constructive and deconstructive way that those waves, those particles' waves, interfere.
You really need a visual aid here. I'm sorry. Your explanatory attempts here are very vague. And I know I'm just dense because I'm just an English major and everything else. I've seen diagrams that explain this before. I've seen diagrams that purport to show how the interference pattern works and everything. So I have at least that tiny reference in my head for this, but yeah, this isn't helping anything. And what does this have to do with ADHD? What are you explaining to us again? This experiment actually was done in 1801 by Thomas Young. And what was really weird about that was that the particles went from wave-like to point-like by the act of just measuring which slit that particle went through. Weird, I know. Yeah, it's weird. I don't understand it by your explanation. I'd probably need a physicist degree to have any attempt at understanding it, but okay, yes, there are weird things that take place with particles. And?
But the truly odd thing about quantum superposition is that I'm essentially saying, the laws of physics are essentially saying that a particle can be in infinite places at one time.
Okay, well, that was at least a bit more concise than whatever was going on a minute ago. Thank you, Mr. Tickletrunk. Deepak Chopra does this way better. Yeah, I mentioned at the top of the stream, you bring up quantum. I think either you're talking about an actual physicist or you're talking about new age nonsense gobbledygook from people like Deepak Chopra. And she says that she's a particle physicist. She works at Fermilab. Okay, I will take her word for it. There you go. I'm still waiting for the point, not the wave, however, but I am waiting for a point. If there's a wave, you can get away with it because you're at Wrigley Field, but there's not enough people in the stands. So you see how my mind went all over the place there and I made connections and references and jokes and anecdotes and put it all together within like 10 seconds without obviously really thinking about it ahead of time. Man, my brain is just like the quantum realm.
What's even more exciting is that all matter in the universe is made up of these fundamental particles that obey the law of quantum superposition.
Okay. And?
So you and I, to a certain extent, can move through the world as a wave.
And?
At quantum scales, right?
Right.
But where does the quantum realm end and our classical world begin?
Okay, now that is an interesting question, I guess. What is the barrier between us and the quantum realm? Beyond the wall of sleep.
Is there even a boundary? Does that boundary even exist?
Well, I can't go traipsing through the quantum realm, so something is preventing me from getting there from where I'm at.
And if, in fact, we are living in the quantum realm.
I mean, technically, we're all a bunch of clouds living in a cloud that is moving through a cloud. If you think about it in those terms. Yes. So?
And don't even know it.
No, I know it. I'm aware of it. It just has no intrinsic effect on my everyday. You know, knowing that there is an infinite universe all around me is one thing. Having it have any specific or meaning to me in my everyday existence, unless I'm sitting around pondering the universe and doing nothing else and being completely terrified of my insignificance in the vast cosmos of things and the heat death of the universe, I'd rather just sort of like focus on playing video games or something.
Then we literally are non-binary.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Okay, going back to the bingo card real quick, just because I feel like it for some reason. Let's see. Systemic. Well, she's talked about the movement of particles and the physics and everything else. Those are systems. Those are systems. Word salad. I'm hesitant because even though what she said has been inane up to this point, it hasn't been word salad. She's given explanations, awkward as they may have been, of actual, theories and physics and so on. So leaves out vital context. Collectivizes own demographic. Yeah, we are all non-binary, which means all of you should be able to be attracted to me and sleep with me now. Right? Let's see. Sales pitch for product or service. Plays victims. I think I'll leave it there for a second. So far I have on the board, aside from the WTF circle, I have systemic, institutional, collectivizes own demographic, a list, free space, diversity, equity, and inclusion, contradicts own point or argument, and benevolent condescension. Remember, if you have arguments for squares that are not circled by the end of the presentation, hold on to them. We'll get to you, or I'll get to you. There's not a we here, unless it's a royal we. And I am king of my own universe, sort of.
We're not here. We're not there. We're everywhere.
Yeah. What are you meaning by non-binary? What does that have to do with anything? What are you talking about? Thank you, Chicago Mike. Doesn't anything involving quantum features Dr. Sam Beckett, or is that my brain making connections? I don't know. I mean, she's making a quantum leap of logic here. Why do you pick the phrase non-binary? Why that phrase? All right, you could say something like, we are clouds of particles moving through a cloud of particles, which means at a very, very small level, we are all literally connected one to another by tiny little points of separation, right? Like the actual distance in material between you and I is zero, because we're all clouds of particles moving through clouds of particles one to another, right? I mean, you could say something like that. Why choose the phrase non-binary? What is that supposed to mean? In your sense, I'm waiting for the punchline here. You got 5 minutes and 15 seconds to make that make sense. That does not suggest something on a sexuality basis. That you're not trying to justify some notion about yourself and impose it onto others, or to convince other people that they are like you, so you don't have to be so alone.
We're fluid. We're queer.
No. Here's the thing. If we are all non-binary, then none of us are queer. You get it? Do you get it? Do you understand the definition of words? Even if I accept that you are correct, however you're saying it, then queerness disappears. Because if there is uniformity, there is no queerness. English major meets physics major. Right? Right?
I'm going to close out by talking about quantum entanglement.
Oh, please do.
So what quantum entanglement is when two particles interact with each other, they become intertwined or entangled. And what's cool about this is that by looking at one particle, even at large distances, you can gain information about the other particle. This is a particle physicist like me. This is our bread and butter. This is how we do our job.
Okay.
The experiment that I worked on, the microboon experiment, we studied a particle called a neutrino.
Ooh, the neutrinos. That was a gang of dimension-hopping teenagers in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon from back in the 80s. Remember the neutrinos? That's where I first learned the word neutrinos. So every time I hear the word neutrinos, I think of like some really bad flying car 50s greaser type alien teens from another dimension. It was either another dimension or they were time travelers. I think they were another dimension. Another dimension.
And I love neutrinos. I geek out about neutrinos. Neutrinos are really cool because they can go through so much matter unscathed, and they have no electrical charge.
I'm sure that's interesting. Mr. Tickle Trunk has a lot to say on this in the chat. I'm going to go hear him real quick. We're only particles. Our particles are made up of electrons, neutrons, and positrons, basically. Those are made up of quarks, which seem to be waves unless we measure them by colliding them. Yeah, see, again, Mr. Tickle Trunk obviously has a better grasp of this than I do. Again, my understanding of it, I just assume the worst in the sense that we're all particles and we're all clouds of particles moving through clouds of particles, and in some kind of quasi way, we're all connected and there's no real distance between us and the thing next to us, and we're all it's probably Deepak Chopra level types of understanding of these things. Actual physics, don't come to me for that. I don't know. My question is, does anything she have to say make sense about anything? And what is the point? What is she trying to convince us of? She keeps coming back to, she started it at the top of the talk, and she just came back to it a minute ago. We're all non-binary. Why is that important to you? Why does that conclusion matter so much? I can assume a few things, but you see, I don't know. I need proof. I need evidence. I need facts. That's why I watch these things, to get that information. You're not giving it to me. What is your point? What is your purpose? What are you trying to teach us? What are you trying to convince us? Thank you, Ham and Beans. Is it just me, or is you seeming to try hard to sound smart? I don't know. If she was talking shop with a fellow colleague who she knew about particle physics and everything else, it might make tons of more sense, and she might be using terms that far beyond my ken, let's say, or Barbie. I don't know. And the other thing too, and this is something that I always give at least as a measure of credit to every TEDx talk and every TEDx speaker, getting up in front of an audience and speaking with any coherency for 10 or 15 minutes at a shot. I got to give a lot of credit to her regardless. Whatever her point is, whatever her argument is and everything else, that is something that is probably outside of my comfort zone, decidedly. It's one thing for me to sit here and talk into a microphone and know that you guys are watching and listening. That's that can be anxiety-ridden enough, if that didn't already prove my point. But actually having eyes on you and standing in front of people who are like judging you silently. So she's doing her best, as far as I can tell, to explain some very complicated things on a level that she thinks is more digestible to the layman. I'm extending that benefit of the doubt here. I don't think that she's just trying to sound smart. I think she's trying to explain things that make a lot of sense to her without having to explain them to people that aren't in on the joke, so to speak. But all the same, she's not making a whole lot of sense.
In fact, there's about 1 trillion neutrinos going through the width of your nail bed right now as we speak.
Yay. And so?
Because neutrinos are so elusive, we had to build a detector that was really, really, really dense. And we also created a neutrino beam that was really, really intense to try and increase the probability that we'd have a collision inside of our detector. But even when that did happen, the neutrino was still invisible to us. So we leverage the law of quantum entanglement and we become private investigators.
Weren't you private investigators before that moment because you were trying to detect something? This might be a bad analogy, but okay.
We collect all of the shrapnel that was left in our detector. And we know that if we can just pick up every single one of those pieces, it would point us back to that invisible neutrino and give us information about our whereabouts.
Right. So it's basically like tracking a deer in the forest. You don't see the deer, you don't have the deer in front of you, but you can see the trail it left. And from that, you can glean some kind of information about it. Yeah, okay.
Its whereabouts.
Yes.
When I learned about quantum entanglement, I was in grad school and I had been dating my wife for about 3 years and we were doing that long distance thing. And I remember the professor explaining it and I was like, yeah, that totally makes sense. It clicked. That's our queer love.
What the fuck are you talking about?
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this?
Right?
Keeper Dam asks, are people taking pictures of her? Well, I don't think so. The clacking going on, I believe, is her earrings against the microphone that she's got next to her ear. Yeah, that sort of clacking, rattling sound you're hearing, as far as I can tell, that's just the impact of her earrings against her microphone. Now, I'm making an inference there. Might be a well-crafted inference, but all the same. Okay, your queer love. Quantum entanglement is like my queer love. The quantum realm is like my ADHD. Huh. You know, for an infinite universe, you keep seeming to suggest you're the center of it.
How many of y'all have been in love?
Oh, now that is a philosophical question. Have I been in love? Yes. Yes, I have. Truly, madly, deeply. Well, I mean, it's hard to tell, like, how do you measure that, right? Because I've had a few relationships. Some went better than others for the duration that they were in. But certainly on a couple of occasions, I was truly, madly, deeply in love with someone else. But here's the problem. Here's the problem I've always faced as an individual. How do I know that my definition of love, that my sensation of love is the same as the other person is experiencing in regards to me? That's always the rub, as it were, in the Shakespearean sense, not in the heavy petting sense, but I'll take it if I can get it. That's always the thing. It's like my understanding of love, my perception of it, my experience of it. There is no way for me to know whether or not another person or the other person is having a similar experience or defines love in the same way. It's really about time and observation. But even then, it's still, at best, a guess, isn't it? But okay. Tell me again about quantum entanglements. That's not a euphemism for coitus.
I've been with my wife now for 12 years. She says 13. I don't know.
Yeah, numbers. Who cares about accuracy?
And I feel like I know her at a quantum level.
You feel, okay.
Knowing that type of love.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Can you know for sure? Because there's one thing we know about the quantum realm. It's chaotic. It's unpredictable. There's a lot of non-definition going on. But you know her at a quantum level. What does that mean? I mean, the deeper you go, the less you know.
Knowing that you can be quantumly entangled with another human being.
Oh, God. Word salad. If not before, then certainly now. Word salad.
It's obvious that the universe and everything that resides in it is queer.
No, it's not. If you're using quantum mechanics to argue that everything is the same at the same time, then there is no queerness in anything. Nothing. Okay. Argumentative non sequitur. No, actually, no, take it back. Weightless example. Sorry, weightless example. Her feelings, her emotions, her relationships, her attention deficit disorder do not a point make. They do not even a wave make, except for a sound wave, which is what I'm producing right now, which is being translated through digitization and ending up in your ears as a new sound wave. In fact, the sound wave you're hearing now of my voice is not my voice. It's actually a reproduction. It's actually a false voice. Shocking. I know.
But if that hasn't convinced you, let me tell you this.
Oh, well, all right. If that didn't convince me, here we go, guys. This is going to do it. If whatever she just said didn't convince me of whatever she's trying to convince me of, this is going to convince me of the thing that she's been not convincing me of this entire time.
In the first fractions of a second after the universe popped into existence, there was absolute chaos and carnage.
Absolute? Absolute. Oh, wait, there was a before the universe and then there was an after. I thought there. Wait. What do Sith believe again?
Matter and antimatter were created in equal parts, and they were sworn enemies.
Oh, matter and antimatter. So there was a binary, you say?
An epic battle ensued, surpassing even the most famous fight scenes of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And in that bloodshed, everything should have been obliterated. But an infinitesimal amount of matter survived. And that insignificant amount of matter is what everything in the world is comprised of. And physicists are still trying to figure out why that is.
Okay, so you don't have any answers on that one. What are we here for again? What was the point of this?
All matter in the universe is an anomaly to the physics as it is written. All matter is a peculiar conundrum that we don't quite understand.
Oh yeah, I see the flashes now. It looks like either people are taking pictures or somebody's got something reflective and they're moving around. I don't know. It doesn't look like camera flashes. It just looks like light reflections that are coming off or something.
Even confounding still, even though all matter in the universe, including atoms, molecules, humans, plants, planets, galaxies, oceans, all of that only consists of 5% of the visible matter that we can see in our universe. 5%.
Yeah.
So the rest of it is dark energy and dark matter, and that's another confounding topic for another talk.
Oh, so there are absolutes?
But all this to say that it is an existential fact that we are anomalies in our universe.
No, we are not. You just told us we're not. And you don't know what else is in the universe. You don't. We could be as common as rock, for all we know, in the vastness of the universe. If you're talking about like what, thinking conscious beings? What do you?
And the most existential question at the heart of my research is not if we are queer, but why we are queer.
Then I don't believe you are doing science correctly. You are assuming a conclusion before finding the evidence. Am I wrong here? Admittedly, I am not a scientist. What you just said sounds completely anti-science, but I don't know. Maybe it all breaks down at the quantum level and it's complete genius for all I know.
And I wonder if we were to let the chaos of quantum mechanics infiltrate our thinking.
How do you know it's not? Oh, you mean like be as queer as you?
If we were to let go of those rigid processes we have and
if we were to just divest ourselves of our natural inclinations insofar as gender and sexual orientation, you mean?
Become one with the queer universe. I wonder, maybe, possibly, scientific discoveries would become easier.
What? What is that? What the fuck is that?
I can't help it.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I ostensibly promised that this would be something else, and I didn't disappoint, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, well, that was a whole load of... All right, so let's go to the bingo card. Let's see where we're at. Are you ready for this, guys? Here's where we started, and here's where we are. Holy cats. All right, I'm going to go over the bingo card one more time by myself. If you have arguments for squares to be circled, please hold on to them, and I will get to you presently. Anecdote that probably never happened. Well, if there is no time and there is no space and there's no up and there's no down and there's no left or right, etc., then I guess she never really did conduct any experiment. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to. Did she give us an anecdote other than her testing stuff at her lab? You know, or her and her wife? Anyway, anecdote that probably never happened. Maybe there's some existential argument to be made there, but I didn't hear anything that sounded false, let's just say. Self-vilification or wretchedness? Nope. At all points in the course of this thing, she was a living example of the universe in action. And whether inaction is one word or two, I'll leave that up to you. Leaves out vital context. You think? Maybe just a little bit in places about what the heck are we here to discuss exactly? She wouldn't even get specific about that. I had to make inferences about what the point of this argument was or this presentation. And white supremacy. She mentioned her own race at the top of the talk, but it never became an issue elsewise. So, no. Privilege, again, not that I can tell, not even sort of abstractly. Sales pitch for product or service. No, this was not a sales pitch. Even though she mentioned where she worked, she wasn't. No, it didn't feel like a sales pitch. Plays victim. Now this is where I get a little bit existential. In her quest to try to make it sound like everybody is the same as she is, or should be the same as she is, does she then, in the reverse, feel victimized by feeling left out? Or is that more of a marginalization argument? I'll leave both those blank, and you guys tell me where that fits best. Attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase. Not that I recall. As far as I can tell, everything she talked about was a scientific term or theory already established. Those of you who are more scientifically literate than I am, by all means, if you have an argument for that, let me know. Patriarchy, no. Feminism, no. And just mentioning that she has a wife, or that doesn't mean anything. Mind reading assumes motives. Mind reading. Well, she was trying to impose her own motives on the rest of us. I don't know if that was mind reading. I mean, maybe mind reading of the universe or something. Not sure. Marginalization, again, I'll leave that blank if my argument makes sense to you guys. Argumentative non sequitur. Did she bring up anything that was completely irrelevant to the talk and never came back to, well, I mean, I used weightless example for her emotional connections and things, and ADHD means I'm quantum or something. That just doesn't have anything. Did she bring up something that was absolutely disconnected from the entire talk and she never came back to or brought back again? Well, I mean, I guess I could say her bringing up her race and ethnicity at the top of the talk, she never came back to, right? She came back to her ADHD. She talked about being neurodivergent, and she talked a lot about that. But what did her race and or her ethnicity have to do with anything? Nothing. So, yeah, there you go. Makes sense to me. We'll go with that. Childhood or family anecdote. She talked about her wife. That's family. So when she met her wife, how long she's been married to her wife. Makes sense. And lastly, microaggressions, unconscious bias. Well, she did bring up at the top, when she said, oh, the whole universe is queer. So did that make you uncomfortable? Or is that mind reading assumes motives? That's another good one. Is that one of the? I'll leave that to you. We might have a bingo on our hands right there, but I could see it going either way. So if you guys have arguments for squares to be circled, put them in the chat now. Be sure to tag me in your comment, if you will. That'll make it easier for me to see. Ham and Beans, you got a double dip there. My chat on StreamYard has stalled. I need to refresh that. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Holy cow. All right, let's try that again. Mr. Tickletrunk, thank you so much. We're in a queen universe for 45 minutes, then says all we have to do is enter a queer universe at the end. I can't, I don't, who, I twitches. Did you say a queen? Or did you mistype queer? Either way, I mean, an N might as well be an R, right? There are no absolutes. And thank you again, Mr. Drunk. Circle's not enough. Please add hypercube. Ooh, hypercube. What was the name of that guy? There was documentaries on him pushing hypercube. There was a guy that had his whole theory on hypercube, and he was like this cult internet darling of nonsense and insanity. He has a couple of documentaries done on him. Was it Down the Rabbit Hole? I think it was either Down the Rabbit Hole or an internet insanity one. I forget, but hypercube. Oh, hypercube. All right, so going back here, Advocatus Diaboli, Scribelight, she talked about how we have a bias for binaries and queer universe buzz phrase. Queer universe. And Data Wasteland also says queer universe should count as a buzz phrase. You think so? You know what? I will allow it. as a judge in a trial from a attorney making an argument, I'll allow it. And consequently, with that,
Bingo.
What?
Of course!
we have our first bingo. Oh my God, a bingo? Can we get more? I bet we can. Let's see, who's next? And if I missed your argument or your comment, guys, just repeat it. Chat's going by pretty quick right now. Yvonne Solomon, unconscious bias. Her argument is essentially we're all queer whether we like it or not. Her unconscious bias. Yes. 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 Yvonne, I believe you are correct. And since I believe it, and if I think it's true, then it's true. And also...
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right? Yeah!
Second bingo. Oh boy. Can we get more bingos? Dex Orion, time cube, not hypercube for down. Oh, it was time. That's what it was. Time cube. Thank you, Dax. I thought it was okay. Yeah. If you guys don't know about time cube, go look up on YouTube, Down the Rabbit Hole. And I'm trying to remember the guy's name without looking at chat and somebody helping me. His name is, it's not Nathan. It's, oh gosh, what's his name? If there's an N in there somewhere. It's not Nathan, or his last name is like, oh, dang it. I forget. Anyway, look up Down the Rabbit Hole. The guy who does them does excellent documentaries on weird things, and it's great. Now somebody in the chat's going to tell me his name, and I'm going to feel like an idiot. Bridget assumes motives are rigid ways of thinking because we don't accept her way of seeing the universe. That's a good one. That is also a good one. Okay. You got it, Bridget. That's not a bingo, but it adds on to the list. Oh, man. I don't know. We're getting close to maybe another one. Thank you, Keeverdam. She also mentioned the speed of light. Did she mention the speed of light, or did I mention the speed of light? I thought I mentioned the speed of light when she was talking about there are no absolutes. There are no constants. Everything's all over the place. I mean, maybe the speed of light doesn't count in the quantum universe or something. I guess that's possibly true. I don't know. But thank you, Keeverdam. And did she mention it? Did I miss that? Did I just sort of like my mind fuzz over at some point and she talked about that? Possibly so. Let's see. Data Wasteland. Scribbles wearing Ukrainian flag is playing the victim. Yeah, no, well, I mean, maybe. I mean, I would have to make some assumptions about that. Frederick Knudsen. I knew there was an N sound. I kept thinking N something. Yeah, Frederick Knudsen. That's what it was. And also Dax, thank you. Yes, that's what it was. I kept in my mind, I kept like sort of mentally thinking of a and yeah, but there was a K. There's a K for the N. Oh well. Let's see. Keeverdam. Maybe you did and I don't remember. I just know that it was meant. It's true. It's true. In the quantum foam of that presentation, along with my commentary, everything mixed and matched and connected and interconnected and overlapped and intersectionalized and yeah, it just kind of just washed over you like a wave. You see what I did there? It's amazing. It's amazing I can just come up with connections and words and phrases and callbacks and echoes and things all of a sudden. I must have a quantum brain. What can I tell you? Let's see. Advocatus, I agree with your argument for marginalization, Scribelight. Which one? Which one are you talking about? Remind me. Let's see. Dax Orion, love his work Down the Rabbit Hole. Hasn't done new stuff in a year, but is great. Check him out, folks. Yes. If I inadvertent surprise plug for another YouTube channel, check out Frederick Knudsen's Down the Rabbit Hole. He has full-length documentaries on often very esoteric and niche events and people and concepts, and they're all great. And while I'm thinking about it, also check out Defunct Land. Check out the channel Defunct Land. If you ever wanted to know the strange behind-the-scenes stories and horrors of amusement parks and amusement park rides, you can't do better than Defunct Land. So there you go. I get a couple of plugs to channels I like. I should do that more often, but I don't as much as I should. Bridget, a marginalization. Her argument is that being queer is the universe and not accepted and needs to be, making it marginal. Oh, yes, that's right. That's right. That's a good one. I'll accept that. I'll allow it, as it were. Still doesn't quite get us to another bingo, but it fills out the card. Okay, guys, any other arguments? I know we're coming up relatively short for TEDx. It's not quite an hour and a half, but we're getting close. And anybody else? Data Westland, your brain is spooky. Spooky. Spooky little girl like you. Doot, doot, doot. Doot, doot, doot. Anything else, anyone? Doot, 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 doot. Yes, and thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk, for the Defunct Land link there on the chat. And a scanned athlete. It's okay, Scribelight. You've been the stuffing in my thanks.
What? What is that? What the fuck is that?
I just couldn't help myself. For some reason, I couldn't help myself. I don't know. Okay, well, anyway, I think I'm going to call it there, guys. I mean, we've got 2 bingos, close to others. She did stay very narrow on her topic and didn't really deviate all that much for being a queer universe or something. So my baseline guesses at what we were talking about at the top of the show was actually all of it was correct. Sort of. Except for the part of the quantum part being a small explanation because it was 15 minutes. But she was trying to combine her own lifestyle and sexual orientation with quantum physics to make herself both special and then not special, because everybody should feel the way and see the world as she does, because obviously it's science, even though it's not my natural inclination to feel and see the world the way she does, but I guess I'm required to now because physics or quantum physics, quantum mechanics, I don't know. Anyway, everybody, I am going to call it here. We got 2 bingos and more than our share of WTF moments for a quantum explanation of the queer universe. If you'd like to hear more from me, by the way, I'll be here Sunday for the Sunday stream, Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, where I'll talk about a thing. Not sure what it's going to be yet, but it's possible. The other thing, too, is that I have tomorrow off from work, so I've got a whole lot of free time on my hands to do practically nothing. So I'm not saying I will do an ambush stream on something, but it's not impossible. If you'd like to find out whether I do or don't, you can follow me on Twitter at scribe_light on the very rapidly, as I keep hearing about it, self-destructing platform that is Twitter. So I'm told. Until it does. So, everything is finite, except the universe, which is infinite, which means somewhere there's a version of me doing this show right now where we had a blank bingo card, and one where the bingo card was totally filled out, and one where I'm a talking cactus. Everyone, I want to let you also know that on this Thanksgiving, I am thankful for you. I am thankful for all of you in my audience, you who attend these things so frequently and with reliability and with such positivity and joy and participation and generosity, the whole 9 yards. I hope that you understand how much I appreciate you, as much as I can, explain that through sound waves that are just effectively false sounds coming out of my voice into your ear right now. It's not me, guys, talking. It's not me. It's digital stuff going into your ear that's pretending to be me. Thank you, Kiefer Dam. Your 3 circles should kind of pass as a visual scientific description. Yes. Somehow, the bingo card, the spheres on the bingo card, and the ovals on the bingo card describe particle physics. You decide how that works, and because of the infinite nature of the universe, whatever you decide to be true, somewhere it is. Everyone, thank you again for joining me. Thank you so much for your attention and your argumentation. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very little to do. Everybody who donated either to myself or to the GoFundMe's pinned to the top of the chat box, thank you so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. Everyone, I hope you have a great rest of your Thanksgiving. If you have Friday off tomorrow, I hope you enjoy your day off. If you don't have Friday off tomorrow, well, have a good Friday. Have a good weekend ahead of you. I hope you're all full of tryptophan, or at least full of yummy food. I hope you're all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon, and I will see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.